Right now, somewhere, someone is staring at a small rock on a metal band, trying to decide if it represents the rest of their life. We've built an entire industry around this moment. The ring, the registry, the seating chart drama, the vows, the legal paperwork that, let's be honest, has more to do with taxes than love. Now, erase all of that away. No dress, no officiant, no word for husband or wife, no government office stamping a certificate. Take away the entire concept of marriage as you know it. What's left? Here's the paradox. For 300,000 years, Homo sapiens existed without any of this. No churches, no rings, no legal contracts. And yet, somehow, we still found ways to pair up, raise children, and build something that looked suspiciously like commitment. So what did love, or at least partnership, actually look like when survival was the only currency that mattered? The answer is going to wreck your mental image of the caveman. You know the image, the brutish caveman, club in hand, dragging a woman by her hair into a cave. It's a cultural punchline. However, it is also almost entirely fictional, a 20th century invention and not an anthropological reality. Here's the actual twist. Marriage, as a tool of control and ownership, did not come from the Ice Age. It came way later than that. Humans didn't invent marriage for love. We invented a version of it to protect the land. Once agriculture showed up, once humans started farming the same patch of dirt for generations, suddenly there was something new word discovered in the world, property. And property needs an heir, and heirs need a guaranteed bloodline. That's when marriage starts looking like the rigid, contractual thing we'd recognize today. But before farming, before fences and inheritance, it was something stranger, and honestly, more romantic than you'd expect. Imagine two nomadic bands, maybe 25 people each, running into each other on the open steppe. This moment was loaded. These groups needed each other badly, not for friendship, but for genes. A band of 25 people, isolated for generations, runs into a brutal biological wall, inbreeding. So early humans developed something anthropologists call exogamy, a near-universal practice of seeking partners outside your own group. Genetic studies of ancient remains, including the famous Sungir burial site in Russia, roughly 34,000 years old, show almost no close-kin inbreeding, even in tiny, isolated populations. That's not an accident. That's strategy. Pairing off with someone from another band wasn't just romantic. It was a peace treaty written in DNA. It tied two groups together, created obligation, opened trade routes, created allies you could call on in a hard winter. Love, if it existed here, was riding shotgun to something far more calculated, survival math. Here's where it gets even more disorienting. We assume pairing up means one man, one woman, one nuclear family, one tent. But the archaeological and ethnographic record tells a messier and honestly more beautiful story. Raising a human child in the Ice Age was absurdly expensive. Long childhoods, slow-growing brains, kids who couldn't fend for themselves for over a decade. No single pair could carry that alone. Anthropologists call the solution allomothering, cooperative child-rearing where grandmothers, aunts, unrelated band members, even older siblings all share the load. It really did take a village. Some researchers argue this shared care system is the defining trait that let human brains get so big in the first place. Someone else was always around to hold the baby while you hunted, gathered, or just slept. So the strict nuclear pairing we treat as the natural default, it might be one of the least historically dominant family structures our species has used. But here's the thing. That doesn't mean they didn't understand commitment. They just showed it differently. Archaeologists have actually found matching pairs of pierced beads, shared pigments, and burial goods placed the exact same way on two skeletons lying side by side. You don't just stumble into a pattern like that. It's deliberate. It's a bond. Some researchers even point to matching dental wear and the exact same joint stress, the kind of wear and tear you only get when two people do the same heavy lifting side by side for years. That's not a coincidence. That is partnership, carved into bone, No marriage license, no vows, but the proof is right there. We belong to each other. If your brain is currently rearranging itself a little, that's the whole point. Subscribe to the channel because in the next video, we're taking on another idea you've never questioned. Let's leave the data behind for a minute. In 2007, archaeologists in Italy uncovered two 6,000-year-old skeletons buried together. Their arms were wrapped around each other, their faces turned inward, frozen like that for thousands of years. The world calls them the lovers of Valdaro. There was no ring, no certificate, just two people embracing, placed that way by a community that loved them enough to bury them exactly how they lived, together. They didn't have a marriage, they didn't need the label. What they had is older than language, this primal pull toward trust, toward closeness, toward finding someone to face the dark with. Call it pair bonding, call it attachment. But when you strip away all the modern labels, you're left with something deeply human. Just the basic need to not face the night alone. So today, if you're sitting next to someone, on a couch, across a table, on the other end of a phone call, know that you're participating in something ancient. That ring on a finger, that signature on a marriage certificate, it's just the newest skin on a very old bone. Underneath it is the same flickering firelight that kept two people close on a freezing night, 30,000 years before the word marriage ever existed. We didn't invent the need for someone, we just gave it paperwork. But now, if this reframed something for you, hit subscribe. There's a lot more of history hiding in plain sight.